What's up guys, Seth Feider here, Bassmaster Elite Series Pro. I'm going to explain to you a few differences between the DT4 and the DT6. Everybody knows the DT6, incredibly popular bait, pre-spawn crankbait. It's a balsa bait. Every serious bass fisherman's got plenty of these in his box, and it's an awesome bait, catches them really good. But there is a place for a DT4. If you look behind us, we're on a riprap bank. There's riprap all over the country, and judging by the bank, you'd look up there and say, well, right now we're probably sitting in 10, 12 feet of water, but we're not. We got the talons down, we're in 3 feet of water, and that's what you find on a lot of your lowland reservoirs and river systems, is the banks are really flat, really shallow, and that's where a DT4 shines. And another thing, a lot of guys think, well, you know, you're wanting to hit bottom, get bottom contact, bounce off the rocks. Why wouldn't I just throw a DT6 even though it's only 2 feet, 3 feet deep? But a crankbait will perform the best when it's running closest to its maximum depth. And that's why I really prefer a 4. That bait's gonna get, it's just gonna work a lot better in that 2 to 3 foot range. When I hit a rock, it's gonna kick out real nice, where when you're throwing a deeper diving bait up shallow, it really wants to get right back into the bottom the second it comes over that stuff. So this one, the 4, I love it on river systems. It's got a little tighter wiggle than the 6, and it starts up vibrating real quick. And the nice thing about that is fishing river systems, you know, 9 times out of 10, you're gonna be pointing your boat upstream, throwing your bait upstream and bringing it back down with the current. And you know, if you got a bait that you really gotta get hammering on to get to run right, you're gonna be fishing it so fast in that current. So this bait, I can kind of, you know, feather it with the current and still get it to that real nice wiggle without having to overwork the bait with that water pushing it towards me at the same time. And that's another reason I run 7-to-1s on my crank and reels. You know, if I'm covering bank going into the current, cruising upstream, and I'm trying to fish down with the current, that faster reel allows me to keep up with the bait and fish it at a regular pace. Where if you're like me and you like keeping that trolling motor high, covering the water a lot, or if you're in a current situation on the river like we have here, that 7-to-1 just allows you a lot better control over the bait. But these baits are surprisingly snagless. It's a round bill bait, but it still comes through there really well, especially if you're in a lake that doesn't have grass, like most reservoirs, river systems, where you're dealing with rock, wood, sand, gravel, what have you. Cranking is by far the best way to catch them pre-spawn. It's kind of a, you know, best of both worlds. I can still catch those real aggressive fish that are up there hunting, and those fish that are just up there getting warm. You know, I can bounce that crankbait off a rock in front of them and trigger a reaction strike, and the fact that I can cover water is crucial. And then as far as setup goes, I throw my 4s and 6s on the exact same setup. It's a Daiwa Tatula SV. That SV spool is crucial for casting these. I know some guys will throw these DT4s on a spinning rod and shatter wraps on a spinning rod. I can do that with an SV spool in the Daiwas. 7-to-1 gear ratio, and then I use 12-pound fluorocarbon, Suffix Advanced. You know, a lot of guys crank with 10 just to get a little more depth out of it. You know, that 12, I still get, you know, good depth out of it, but you know, I'm grinding it over rocks. And if you can see this bank behind us, it's all sharp edges, and these rocks are covered in zebra mussels. So stepping up to 12 just gives me a little more peace of mind if I've been, you know, winding along over a bunch of stuff, that my line's still in decent shape, versus 10. And then the rod I throw it on is a 6'9" medium light. This is a graphite rod. Usually when it comes to like big crankbaits, I do prefer a glass rod, but with these being real light and having that real tight, subtle wobble, I can feel it so much better with a graphite rod. This is the Daiwa Tatula Elite. This is my signature series jerkbait rod, but you know, it's just the rod's made not so much for fishing a specific bait, but really matching up to those hooks. Super parabolic action, you know, that rod about doubles over. It's real light, but it, you know, between that and the SV, that allows me to cast a, you know, fairly light balsa crankbait a good ways. And then like I said, it's mostly for fighting fish on those smaller treble hooks. Once I get into the square bills and the DT10 plus depth, that's when I'll switch back to a you know, traditional fiberglass cranking rod, but I prefer the light graphite for these really small baits and little hooks. They're real similar baits, and everybody and their brother's got a DT6, but I don't hardly see many guys throwing the DT4, and it's that same balsa, tight wiggle, light rattle, killer on both smallies and largemouths. Another thing I like about the 4s and 6s, small profile, so if you are fishing smallies, they can get it in their mouth. You're not hooking a lot of fish outside the mouth, so just a couple awesome killers right there.